Hey everybody, it's Judy Klock here, ready for my last session of the day. It's not the last session overall. Christy will be on after me for one more session, but I am here for the last time, and I am going to be working on 3D projects. I love making boxes and little like table favors. So I wanted to share with you today two of my favorite projects. This is what I call the barrel-topped box. It kind of looks like, let me put my thing up. There we go. A little bit bigger. It kind of looks like a purse a little bit. It's got the rounded top. It's got a little Velcro closure, but inside is a really nice box that you can put little trinkets in, candy, whatever you want, but it's a great little box to use for all occasions. All right, so let us go. And if you left the handle off, it would almost look like, of course now it doesn't want to close correctly, leave the handle off and it could almost be like a treasure box. All right, so let's go ahead, hey Christy, and get started. So what you need is you need a couple of different pieces of paper. So we need a piece of cardstock that is 4.25 inches by 8 inches, and that's going to be for that rounded lid. For the handle, we need a piece that's 3/4 by 8.5. We need a piece of designer series paper that's 4 by 8. And then for the box itself, we need a piece that's 8.5 by 10 3/4. And then I just cut out 2 circles with our stylish shapes dies, one in Parakeet Party and one in Basic White. And that's just going to be the decoration on the front of our box. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you want to do is you want to put the DSP onto your cardstock. So I will use Stampin' Seal for this. For almost the rest of the box, I will be using liquid glue to help hold that box together. And that is why I have my silicone mat, my big silicone mat here. Now these were the exact same length. So we're just going to go ahead and make sure a little bit peeks out on the top and the bottom. Okay, now we're going to bring in our Simply Scored tool. And we are going to score this at 2 inches. All right, so we're going to go through 2 pieces. So press a little bit hard. We don't have to worry about ripping our DSP because it's on our cardstock. All right, and then we're going to give this a really good burnish with our bone folder. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, we're going to put that aside for now. We're not going to use this again. We do want to curve that top, but we'll do that in a minute. Okay, then we're going to take the cardstock for our handle, and we are going to score this at 1/2 inch and at 8 inches. Okay, again, give those a good burnish. I'm not going to burnish them right now because I want to keep the score table up, the Simply Scored tool, because we're going to score the main part of our box. All right. So with the 8.5 inch, I'm sorry, take this box and with the 10 3/4 inch side at the top, so the longer side is at the top of our scoring table, we're going to score it at 2. I hate when it jumps tracks. At 5, at 7, and at 10. Okay, so 2, 5, 7, and 10. Then we're going to rotate it like 90 degrees. Okay, so that little 1/2 inch section is going to be at the top of our scoring table. Okay, and then we're going to score it at 2 inches and at 6.5 inches. Okay, so that is it for our scoring. Oh, one more score line. So now here, we want to score from the edge of our paper down to the second horizontal score line. Okay, we want to score that at 1.25. Okay, so we're just going to stop there and at 7.25. Okay. All right, and we're just going to stop at that second horizontal score line. All right, now we're ready to do some trimming. So these two pieces get completely cut away. So we're going to cut from the edge to that second vertical score line. And we're going to cut from the edge to the first horizontal score line. Okay. That's going to become the lid. This is the lid of our box. And that's going to become the front flap. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to cut from the edge to that first horizontal score line. And then we're going to come in here and cut from the edge to the second vertical score line. Now, we're going to cut away this section, this big section here. We're going to cut from the edge down to that horizontal score line. We're going to cut along that score line, and we're just going to clip that piece away. Okay, so we're just going to get rid of that. Do the same thing on the other side. This great big piece, we're going to cut along the score line from the edge down to that score line. And then we're going to cut from the score line along that score line to the cut. Okay, now we still have to trim these. So we're going to cut here now. We're just going to cut along these score lines to that, at this point, horizontal score line. So we're just going to cut along all of these vertical score lines to that horizontal score line. Okay, now these are going to be the sides of our box. And I want to miter these just a little tiny bit. Okay, so I'm going to just come in here. I'm going to just cut these on an angle. That's just going to help when we take our box and we build up our box. It's just going to help take some of the bulk out of the side. Okay, now this flap, we want to miter this on an angle. That just makes it easier to slip into our box top. Okay, and we are going to repeat this entire process on the other side. So we're going to cut along these score lines to that horizontal score line, cut along those vertical score lines to the horizontal one. Okay, we want to miter these two. Okay, just like that. Really pretty easy. And then again, up here, we want to just kind of cut these on an angle. Again, that just makes it close just a little bit easier. Okay, so that is the basics of our box. That's what it should look like when you've done all the cutting and scoring. Let me get all of these scrap pieces out of the way. We don't need those. Just gonna muck up the works. All right, so now I want to take my bone folder and I just want to give a really good press along all of these score lines. Okay. And I like to do this after I do the cutting. I don't know, I just find it's easier to cut when the lines haven't been burnished. That's just me. Maybe you like to do it differently. That's fine. There's really no right or wrong way to do that. It's just personal preference. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to take these two flaps and I'm going to push them towards the inside. I'm going to add some liquid glue here. Whenever you're doing 3D projects, I really recommend liquid glue. And if you like this little liquid glue holder, I did a demonstration, a video on my YouTube channel, Judy Klock YouTube. You can have, it has the dimensions there and it'll teach you how to make that little box for your Tombow. So go ahead and check out that video. And while you're there, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be awesome. I do videos twice a week. Tuesdays, a little quick lunchtime video, and then Thursdays are my live demos. All right, so now I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to adhere it to these side flaps. Make sure the edges are even. You don't want to come in too much, and the liquid glue gives you just a bit of room to play around with it, and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, just make sure those edges are even. I like to hold it in place just for a couple of seconds. The liquid glue sets pretty quickly, so it will be sturdy enough to like let go after a few seconds. All right, we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to add some liquid glue to these flaps. And again, just put down a thin line. You don't need a ton of it because we don't want it all squirting out. So, okay, this is a brand new, just opened up a brand new liquid glue. All right. Okay. And again, same thing. We're just going to bring these up, make sure the edges are even. Just hold it in place for a little bit. Okay. Now comes the fun part. All right. So that's kind of really our box. That's our basic box. All right. But now we're going to add that really dramatic top. So now we have this piece, but we want it's flat and we want it to be curved. So we're going to take it, we're going to hold our bone folder, and we're just going to pull our bone folder along a couple of times, and that kind of gives it that shape. Okay. Maybe I'll do it this way now. Okay. Okay. You just want to get it so it's a little round. Then you can just kind of bend it with your hands. Now we're going to add some glue to this part, and we're going to attach that along the back of our box. Okay. So we want to make sure that we have our edges, our bottom edge and our side edges even. Okay, so I'm just going to add some liquid glue there. I don't know why I thought this was much more difficult than it is, but it's so far, knock wood, it's going pretty easily. Okay. So again, I am just going to hold this in place just for a little bit. And if you want, you can open it up and really press down by pressing on the inside. Make sure you don't move it. See, I moved mine a little bit. So now I got to go back and make sure. Okay. Just going to press that down. Okay. I want to make sure that that's really going to be well adhered and stick, because now we're going to take this edge and we're going to attach this part of the box to this edge. There, that will give us that nice barrel topped look. Okay, so I am going to put some liquid glue along this flap, this little like 3/4 of an inch flap on the box top. Okay. Okay. Now, whoops, let me get that out of the way. Now, I am going to, and this one is going to take a little bit of time to make sure it adheres really well. You can do tear and tape. I prefer liquid glue for my 3D projects. I just think liquid glue holds them better, but that's just my personal opinion. But I prefer liquid glue when doing 3D projects. My back is still coming off a little bit, so I'm going to add a little bit more pressure there to make sure this really sticks. Hey, Christine. You use paper clips for this step? Okay, that'll work too. All right, so now I'm just going to tuck this in. Now, only the side flaps go inside the box. The front flap stays outside. All right, we're going to add our handle. So now we're going to do the same thing. We want this bent. So we're just going to take our paper bone and kind of run it along so this curls. Now, remember, we scored this at 1/2 inch on each end. When you're looking at it, we're going to put the glue sort of on like what I would consider the inside part, because that is what we're going to stick to our barrel top. So I'm going to do one side at a time. So I'm going to put a little glue on the inside piece of this 1/2 inch section. And I'm just going to glue it to the top of my barrel top. And again, just hold it in place until you're fairly certain that it's going to stay put. That seems pretty good. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to add some glue to this section right here. And I'm just going to repeat it on the other side. Okay. All right. We're almost done. Okay. So then we're going to add a little like a, I guess would be like the clasp of the purse. Yes, little liquid glue does give you just enough wiggle room. Yep, I agree. Hey, Kathleen, how you doing? Okay, so now we are going to do some stamping. So I have our two-tone flora set, and I've got the two flowers, this what I call like the solid bottom piece and then the overlay piece. I'm going to stamp the solid flower in Tahitian Tide, because you know that when you're doing two-step stamping, you always stamp the lightest color first. So I'm going to just stamp that down. And again, these are photopolymers. So I am using my Stampin' Pierce mat to get that nice, clean finish. All right, now I'm going to stamp the overlay piece in Starry Sky. All right. I miss blueberry. What was it? Blueberry bushel. I miss that color. Now, this, I think, okay, the glare, I got to move this down just for a minute because the glare is too much. Okay, I think I have it. I should have used my Stamparatus for this, but it's late and I wasn't thinking. Okay, I'm just going to give it a try. Hopefully it'll be relatively lined up. Oh, not too bad, considering that I held all that glare there. All right, let me close up my ink. All right, now we're just going to go ahead and put these two pieces together. I love the combination of Parakeet Party and Tahitian Tide. I think it's such a pretty combination. All right. All right, now I'm going to add this to the front of my box, but I'm also going to add, I don't know if you noticed on here, I had a little Velcro dot. Okay. Now, I like these. These are one of the things I have in my craft room along with my wobbles and my little mini magnets. I always keep these in my craft room because you never know when you might need them. So I have these little dots, and I have a link to my Amazon affiliate where if you want to buy these, if you buy them through my Amazon affiliate account, I get a very small compensation, like pennies, but you know, every little one adds up. So if you want to buy these, please go ahead and use my Amazon affiliate link. I think it'll be on the tutorial. So I'm going to add some liquid glue, but I'm also going to put these on the bottom. But before I do that, I'm going to add just a little bit of liquid glue, because even though these are self-adhesive, I just think the liquid glue makes them stick a little bit better. All right, let me pull this up. Okay. Now, I'm just going to add some liquid glue to this top half. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit of glue here. Again, just to help that glue dot, that adhesive dot stay a little bit better. And then I'm just going to lay this on my barrel top and push that down. And again, going to hold this in place just for a little bit. Okay. I just think these boxes are so cute. Great little way when you've got a small gift for someone to just kind of dress it up. No wrapping paper needed. Okay, let's see. And that is our box. So that's it. I'm going to let this, I'm not going to open it yet because I want that glue to really dry. But if you want, on this one, I kind of rounded the edges with just a scissor. I just kind of rounded them a little bit. You can do that if you want. if you don't like the straight edge look. Again, it's your box. You can do whatever you want to do with it. But I just thought this was a really pretty and different way to have your box done instead of just a plain old flat top box. So let me know what you think. Now, the other project I wanted to share with